Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. I just want to start the episode by showing some appreciation, pour one out for all the translators that had to work on all the rap battles these past this season, past couple of episodes.
It is the season for it, apparently. Something got in the water of Japan this season.
I've heard some stories, so
everyone,
R.I.P. To the translators who had to do, especially the Boy Kongming and the however many bars that ended up being that had to be translated. Our condolences to your family and friends.
Looking up ancient Chinese poems and stuff, like
everyone just felt they had some bars to spit out here. You know, everyone's got something to say.
I guess I should also mention, since today is Mother's Day here in the U.S., shout out to all the hot anime moms this season.
There's a lot this season.
There's a fair number of them.
Yeah, you know who you are. But, all right, well, that said, we also just have a lot of shows that we're still watching.
Indeed.
With all the fun comedies and whatnot going on, and so we're going to get into all that. But to introduce everybody, I'm Jel. I'm joined by Iro.
I'm still here. I'm not dead yet.
I don't like how you emphasized "yet" at the end there.
Yeah, it's a versatile phrase depending on what I decide to emphasize.
Yeah. We're also joined by G.
What's good, everybody?
And we have a special guest for this episode. We have Peter.
I am also here. Hello.
Yes. The best anime podcast on the internet, joined by the host of the #1 anime radio show in the UK. We can say that, right?
Probably, yeah. There's probably not many others.
Yeah. So
winner by default.
Yes,
yeah.
No, but thank you for joining us, and let's talk about some anime.
Indeed.
In a moment.
In a moment.
Well, first, we do want to acknowledge the end of the Golden Kamuy manga, which I know Iro and G, you both are very fond of.
Yes, we've reached the end of the winding road.
Yes.
And there are some parting words you'd like to say with the manga.
Solid ending. Good ending. You know, they pulled it together. Everything came together.
It's in a lot of ways, Golden Kamuy has been I've made it clear on the podcast multiple times how much I adore that story and its characters, and compared to a lot of like currently running manga, I think Golden Kamuy is it's sad that this is a somewhat rare occasion, but Golden Kamuy achieves what few manga do, which is end on a decent note and not take overly long to get there. So in many ways, that puts Golden Kamuy in a very special pantheon of manga, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you almost always get like either the manga gets canceled and they don't have time to wrap things up, or
it just kind of peters out,
or they just stretch it out as long as possible, well past its prime. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Or most, morbidly, the author passes away before they finish it. I feel like, in many regards, I'm not going to turn this into a philosophical thing, but I feel like in some regards, being a fan of manga is like you undertake the fandom with the implicit notion that you are reading incomplete stories.
Yeah.
That may or may not ever end, or may not ever end in a satisfying manner. I feel like that is just so the de jour like status quo of manga in general, that to get one that just ends and ends well just ends up feeling very special. And
it's like
I think
American TV series.
And I think that's why, like, I come away from Golden Kamuy feeling very warmly about it. It's a manga that the more I look at it, from the rearview mirror, the more I come to appreciate just like how masterfully crafted of a story it is. Even from the early chapters, it does such an exemplary job of setting up its stakes and the scope of its conflict, of its narrative, and it never really deviates from that. You know, it is a story that tells you there's going to be 24 bosses in this game, and thus you will know exactly how far you are based on how many are remaining, and it sticks to that. It really does. It adamantly sticks to it all the way to the end, and I think in a lot of ways, Golden Kamuy, especially towards the end, where I think we often talk about like the strength of endings and like payoffs on things that are established earlier in stories, and Golden Kamuy did a like tremendous job of paying off on nearly every single element of its story that was set up earlier. I think that we sometimes talk about this of like how important endings are, not just narratively but thematically. You know, I think we often talk about like how important it is that a character, shall we say, dies properly or finishes their story, their section of the story in a story properly, whether that means it ends thematically appropriately or they go out with such a bang that you feel that they were given the curtain call that they deserved, right? You know, a great example of this, of course, would be like Ryder from Fate Zero, right? Like when you have a character that is like so grand in their personality and their impact on the story, then they must also exit the story in an equally grand manner. And when you are dealing with a story in which 90% of the cast are like murderers and psychopaths, like each and every single one of them must go out on an even greater note than the prior. And yeah, like with, I mean, 90% of the cast is fucking dead by the end of the story, and it's amazing how each and every single one of them like gets their moment to shine before they're fucking gunned down like an animal or fucking like explode.
Run over by a train.
Yeah.
Right.
It's truly, I guess it's like the thing I would say about Golden Kamuy, just to wrap this up, is it feels like a story in which the writer truly loved every character that he created. I think oftentimes you can tell in a work when a writer has a bias towards one character or another, you know, whether that means screen time or, you know, the attention they get. And the thing that Golden Kamuy, I think, did, like, fantastically to the very end is, like, it truly feels like he loved each character. And big or small, they all get their moment one way or another.
Right.
Yeah.
That's,
I agree.
I mean, that's good to hear, because those endings are tricky, particularly with manga when you don't always have the time to plan. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Iro?
No, that's not at all. I mean, I'm the one who joined in late, so.
How long did it run? How many years was it?
2014, I think, maybe.
So like 6 or 7 years. Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're in 2022.
I do not remember.
It's like 300 something chapters.
Yes.
And it was weekly, so.
Yeah.
You can math it out. I don't know.
Yes, 2014.
That's a good run.
Yeah.
Good run. All right.
Good job, Golden Kamuy. You did what Beastars couldn't.
Yay.
But we'll save that for when Season 3 of Beastars gets announced.
Yeah,
and
we'll get back to that soon.
You see Iro and I, as the story of Beastars progress, increasingly start tugging at our collars and sweating profusely as we try to explain, look, no, there's still actually some really great stuff left in this story, but...
Yeah, that'll be another story for another day. So
indeed.
All right. Well, let's move on to some anime. And
I've heard of that stuff.
Yeah, you know, cartoons from Japan. And you know, in preparing for this episode, I asked Peter what they were watching, and most of it was the things that we were watching, but there were a couple of things that were not on our list. So, Peter, I got some questions in this segment that I'm going to call Peter Brings in the Monster Girls. So, we'll talk about two of the shows you mentioned you were watching. The first one being Onipan, which
Yes.
this is a short, correct? Is it full length?
Yeah. Like, depending on your definition of a short, and also depending on which version of it you're watching.
Oh,
Are there
there's
multiple versions? Is there like a censored version, uncensored version, or something?
No, not. It's not a sort of Monster Girl.
Okay.
Actually, it's the polar opposite of that. This is a.
It's very
kids'
wholesome,
show.
right?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only thing I know
it's-
about this is it's like Wit Studios' original this season, right?
Yeah, it's with Studio. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
usually would consider a short pretty much anything under a 22-minute episode, like a normal TV length.
Yeah. In which case it's a short regardless.
Is it like 12 minutes or something, like one of those?
It's I mean it's close to 15.
Okay. So
um,
still pretty decent size.
Yeah. So the weird thing about Onipan is that it is part of a children's variety program in the morning on TV Tokyo called Ohasta, and it airs on Ohasta in like 5-minute chunks.
Okay.
If you're familiar, are you familiar with Azaman Gadayo?
Yes.
That
Right.
was also. Those were 25-minute episodes, but they were broadcast in like 5 or 6
Right.
minute chunks, and then compiled together to be full-length episodes.
Right.
later
Okay.
on.
That makes sense.
So, 25 episodes of Onipan have aired, but we're getting the like compiled versions, which means only 5 episodes have aired so far.
Right.
Aired, streamed. You know what I mean?
Okay, Osuta is that morning show where Ike Noala is a regular, noted noted Nigerian American Japanese actor who was in Super Sentai. Sorry,
all comes
go
full
ahead.
circle.
Continue. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, so this one, I mean, this is like we said. I mean, I'm joking about the Monster Girls thing. This is a very wholesome like kid show, basically, right? Like,
Yeah. So in short, it's you've got a bunch of Oni, so like ogre, demon, whatever you want to translate it as, and they have come from. So this is like a world in which Oni are just in regular society now, and they're everywhere, and but like little kids still have like weird conceptions about them, about how they'll eat them up if they're naughty and stuff like that. And
Right.
so these 3 Oni have travelled to Tokyo in order to fix those misconceptions and prove
Right.
to the people that they're just like us, and but they do have some like super strength and stuff because they are still Oni. They do still have their differences.
Big clubs and such.
I've not seen clubs yet, but they do have super strength and they can run really fast and stuff like that.
Right.
There was a particular bit of animation from episode 1 that did the rounds on Twitter for a bit because it's like a 3-minute long chase sequence that's just incredibly. The animation is very good.
right. It does have some of Wit flexing their muscle here, right?
Yes, it does.
Which is fun.
The fun quirk, I guess, with the show, with it being Onipan, is they have these Oni pantsu. It is their underwear,
Right.
and
Okay. I think this is where like the pre-release stuff lost me. Right.
It sounds like if you're reading it on paper, it sounds a lot more suspicious. But yeah.
Right.
So
When we say the pantsu, it's like big bloomers though. Like it's not.
they're big.
Yes.
They're big bloomers.
Cartoon bloomers. Yeah.
So they are not the gym kind, the other kind.
Right.
But like since Oni are kind of famous for wearing like tiger pelt loincloths, and then you've got
like
Urusei
Urusei Yatsura.
Yatsura,
Yeah.
they're that sort of style, and so when they need to transform, they put these Onipan on over whatever they're wearing.
Oh, okay.
And then they transform into, like, in the first episode, they transform into police officers, and in episode 2, they transform into just some, like, generic RPG characters or something.
Okay.
But the transformation is just visual. They don't get any extra powers from transforming or anything like that. It's just so they fit in with what they're trying to do.
Cutie Honey
Right.
transforms into, whatever costume is of the week. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very silly. It is a kids show. It is pretty wholesome, and it's directed by Ota Masahiko who did Yuri Yuri. The scriptwriter did Endro, if anyone watched that, because it reminds me a lot of Endro.
Okay.
Which I think nobody really watched, but it was really good.
All right. Well, it sounds like some good, clean, wholesome fun on that one. Which there's a lot of that going on this season. I think it fits the mood.
Yeah.
And as far as the other show, which was the Demon Girl Next Door, which is actually season 2.
Yes, season 2.
I vaguely remember season 1 existing, but you're going to have to refresh me on what the deal was with this one.
In short, just normal high school girl Yoshida Yuka wakes up with horns and a tail, and she learns that she's a descendant of a bunch of demons who were cursed into poverty, which means that the family can only survive on like 4,000 yen a month or something. So very specific.
Okay.
And so she's woken up as realizes that she's a demon, and she has to go defeat the town's local magical girl, who goes to the same school, and in the beginning of season 2 just moves in next door because Yuko.
It's the only way to break the curse.
Well, Yuko is kind of just. She's very weak and largely ineffectual at doing anything. And so, in the end, like the magical girl just sort of takes pity on her and is essentially training her up.
It's no fun to beat you if you're this weak.
Yeah, like first season they're going for like runs and stuff, and there's the typical comedy of the magical girl just pulling a gigantic tractor tire down the road.
Of course, yes, classic. Running across the beach. The sunset, boxing the air.
Right.
Season 2 seems to be more focused on finding the magical girl's sister, who disappeared like 10 years ago or whatever, and is the reason that this demon seal was on their house, and it's I suppose it would be unfair if I didn't mention that it was from Manga Time Killer Carrot.
So it's like a 4
one of those.
deal.
It is. It's Yonkama. Also, it's largely less so in season 2, but it's sort of got some Yuri undertones going on as well, but not really.
As all of these shows are.
But it's pretty. It's also pretty wholesome, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, is this
but
like
it's a good
like a frenemies comedy where like
yeah,
we are technically enemies, but in reality we are actually friends type of situation.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of is reminding me of another show. Was it Gabriel Dropout? That was a thing, right?
Yeah, that
Maybe.
exists. Yeah.
It was like that show was kind of terrible though, but it was like angel girls and demons girls frenemies type of comedy thing. But yeah, again, this is the season for fun
Goofy comedies, yeah.
Yeah, fun silly comedy type shows. So another one we can add to the list. But I say that as we're about to transition into our
speaking of
geopolitical power hour here.
Lighthearted fun. It's time for geopolitics, baby.
Hooray!
So, yeah, we're gonna
geopolitics is my lighthearted fun.
Yeah, we'll take a break. Take a break from the lighthearted fun to get into our geopolitics power hour here.
Joe, what are you talking about? Geopolitics is the most fun topic to discuss.
Yeah. Well, let's unfortunately let's talk about Kyoukai Senki.
Yeah, we're still watching this show.
We're still subjecting ourselves to this crap.
Has anything noteworthy happened since we last spoke?
I mean,
no.
What's your definition of noteworthy?
I mean, but we got the big flashback to why Amo was edgy now, and that was the most milquetoast, boring flashback where, you know, he somehow survived his mech self-destructing, and they pulled him out of the water and, you know, put him to work in the facility or whatever, where he had to look after the kids.
Basically, he gets like recovered by like a different group of like freedom fighters, I guess.
Sure,
I don't know, but these ones are like more corporate aligned, I guess, or something. Like they're researching AI tech, and also yes, there are, you know, because it's a real robot anime. There are children, you know, living in this military facility.
There's a scene which just says everything about Kyoukai Senki's like blunt nail bat writing, where the three kids run up to Amo and they're like, Amo, read us a Japanese story, play baseball with us, let's do karate. Those three most Japanese of things.
Yes. And
two of which are in Japanese.
I mean, no, I mean,
they are. I mean, look, they are now.
Well,
right,
no, what I mean is that the American equivalent of this, right? If this show with its same, like, blunt, facile nationalism was set in America instead, it would be like, Arthur, tell me the story of Paul Revere's ride, and let's go shoot guns and eat apple pie.
Right.
Yep.
Like, it's the same, just, like, absurd, like, just complete lack of subtlety that this show operates on.
Yep.
And so, you know,
do all the kids die?
I wish.
Oh. Well, wow. Okay.
I mean,
that would give it some edge.
It would make the story more interesting. Like,
right. So of course, you know, the people attack North American Army or whatever coalition.
Just some, you know, black ops, black bag operator types, you know, flashbangs and MP5s here to shoot unarmed children and civilians. Except they're not even civilians. They are technically part of the resistance group, so technically they are an armed combatant.
So yes, there's a little sequence where these guys are busting into the facility and shooting up everybody, and oh no, to save the kids, Amo has to shoot a man.
And that's why they're making a big deal. Right, they're making a big deal about the soldier in an armed conflict shooting people, right?
Yes, so they're doing the thing of like, Amo's
I've never. All the mechs have been unmanned so far.
Yes, and it is around here where we come to our. I mean, not that we've come to this realization; we've known it, but the very premise of Kyoukai Senki, which is that robots in this world are generally unmanned drones,
right?
Was literally just a contrivance to allow the heroes to kill scores of them while still maintaining like an absurd veneer of like moral high ground.
Right.
Because like that is like how utterly toothless Kyoukai Senki is as a show, is that it can't even like allow itself to engage with what it actually means to be in an armed conflict.
Right.
Like it won't even allow its heroes that like to be tarnished in that way. They must be completely squeaky clean because they have already intentionally like framed their heroes as essentially the spiritual inheritors of Japanese nationalism, and thus they must be moral paragons in addition to cultural paragons, and it makes the whole premise feel even more hollow as a result.
Sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
So we're just is this now just like straight up just Japanese nationalist.
It always
propaganda.
was.
It always was. That's the thing. It never changed.
Okay,
like,
but is it getting worse though? I guess.
Yes, I mean, arguably so. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, there's I don't know, like in these series of 2 episodes, like they do the one thing that I would have liked this show to have done earlier and more often, but it seems like this show just like it's like the show was given a bunch of like relatively good ingredients. And was told, hey, like, make a meal out of this. You know, I went out of my way to, like, pick up some of the nice stuff from the boutique grocery store. And the cook in question shouted Nippon Banzai and just started, like, hacking at it, like, with like, zero regard for how to actually make a dish or something. Because one of the episodes has a fight between 2 of the other factions. Because remember, in this world, Japan is being occupied by 4 different sovereign nations.
Right.
And each of them is not aligned with the other, so they are constantly fighting these proxy wars on Japanese soil. So we finally get a fight between the not Russians and the not Americans. And it's actually almost kind of interesting. Almost. But not actually interesting. Just, you know, there was a part there I was like, huh. This could have been cool.
Right.
Which is a thing
like,
I don't
the
even
implications
say.
of that happening and everything, but they don't get
Right.
into any of that. Right.
Yes. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's fucking. This is we're stuck here in Kyoukai Senki land. You know,
You're doing this to yourselves.
Indeed.
This is the price of smiles.
Yes.
Us watching Kyoukai Senki.
We're never gonna let that one go.
It's a really funny phrase.
Yes.
Sorry.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about our other geopolitics.
Let's
show.
talk about good
Yum, yum.
geopolitics. And by good
Give me more.
geopolitics, I mean bad politics.
Well, where are we at in Legend of the Galactic Heroes?
All right,
GT
so
here?
we are on episodes, what is it, 31 and 32. 31 is sort of, they have successfully tested Geiersburg.
Right.
So Geiersburg is now ready to be fielded. We are introduced to Rear Admiral Mecklinger, who is described as quite a Renaissance man.
You know, and
For
he's
people
so,
not
he's
familiar,
so
this is
kind.
the
Go ahead, yeah.
for people not familiar. This is the we're going to smash our big space fortress into your big space fortress, right?
Yes.
Get the whole sequence with Mecklinger, where Hilda has her sick cousin, and
Yes.
he just really is a fan of Admiral Mecklinger because he loves Renaissance men. He thinks men who are skilled in both the military and the arts are mega cool.
Yes. Like Mecklinger.
And Cao Cao.
So, yes,
Do
noted
they actually?
Renaissance man.
Do they
do
name
not.
drop Cao Cao?
They
Okay.
do not. I'm actually.
Fortunately, he gets
messaged-
name dropped later in this episode.
Oh yeah,
but
don't
it-
worry. Another
we'll get
show,
to him.
another show in this slate here correctly recognizes Cao Cao as a Renaissance man, but it
Yes.
is not D&T.
Yes.
I do want to say it's a thing I didn't note last time, but it's extremely funny.
This is
Is
about
that
Kemp's children.
This is about Gustav Kempf's children. Yes. So we are of course introduced to Admiral Gustav Kempf, who is the admiral who has been tasked with commanding Geiersburg into destroying or capturing Iserlohn. In this version, Kempf is a very large man, a very large, muscle-bound man, as you might imagine of a man of that personality. But most, very broad-faced. His adjutant, funnily enough, is just as broad and wide as he is, which leads to me wondering, does Kempf just purposely hire guys with the same physical build as him to work as his secretaries?
Huge guys, yeah.
It's very funny. He recruits his secretaries from the gym. But Kempf, I wish I could describe his hair. You know what? Actually,
He's got this,
Here.
just this shock of, he's got, it's clean on the sides, but it's kind of frazzly and...
okay, so it's like he has
Must in the middle.
he has a side shave, except the top is grown out, kind of just. I've posted it in the Discord for you guys to see. It's messy up top. It feels
Okay.
It feels like it's meant to be like a high fade. It's supposed to be a slicked back high fade, but he doesn't
Right.
actually style it.
All
So
right.
it just grows untidied like this. Anyways, so we're all like, oh, it's kind of a weird look for Kempf. It kind of looks like a bush growing on top of his head. Well, whatever. I guess that's just his personal style. And then we were introduced to Kempf's 2 sons.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
And They have the same haircut.
Exact same hair.
The exact same hair as him. Except it's on a fucking, like, 8-year-old child. And it's like, oh god, Kev's hair is genetic.
Really
That's
funny.
why it looks like that. It's not a style choice. His hair literally grows like this.
Of course. Or no, the kids just really want to be like Dad,
Maybe
You
that's
guys are
what it
really
is.
selling Legend of Galactic Heroes as an exciting show here, but
Oh,
I
God.
I get
Oh
you.
my
I get
god,
you.
there
Though.
it is. Yeah, yes. Eero just posted his sons in the Discord.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is pretty good.
Also, they're
It's so
wearing
funny.
little sailor
Oh, also
suits.
yes, they're wearing the
It's very
blue and white sailor suits.
All right,
because of course.
all right. Refresh my memory. Are these the ones that will eventually swear
Oh,
a
yeah.
blood oath
Swear
of
vengeance on
vengeance?
Yang Wen-li. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Spoilers about Kev.
Speaking of Young Wen-li, he has been forced to leave his post at
Yes.
Eastland Fortress because
He has been recalled
the
to Highness.
government has called him in for a court of inquiry, and a term that's not in the FPA charter or anything, but it's an order from his superiors, so he still has to go. And
Yes,
so,
and we are of course introduced to one Louis Mashengo, who has the
Oh,
strength
yeah.
of 10 men.
shouts to
we
that
haven't-
guy.
Nice.
We haven't seen him in action yet, but it's coming.
Uh-huh.
Always a fan.
And it's the inquiry, right? It's the infamous inquiry of Yang Wen-li. Very much the moment that truly exposes just how craven and incompetent and corrupt the FPA leadership is. Their inability to exercise their control, except in the most petty, outlandish ways. Their inability to actually act on important and pertinent information or recognize the real threats that are actually at their doors.
It's Moxley in its last stages.
Yes, essentially, again, we are the inquiry of Yang is you are watching the death of a liberal democracy.
Can't relate, but
No, certainly not. No, I couldn't.
Who could?
What kind of liberal democracy would have a council of 9 philosopher god kings who hold their position for life and are allowed to make these huge sweeping changes in legal precedent, dooming and harming hundreds of thousands of innocent people in their country?
yeah,
No
that's
way.
crazy. Pure fiction.
As always, Legend of the Galactic Heroes feels relevant and important, no matter the age it airs in.
Yeah.
Of course,
that is true.
and but the inquiry itself is still a very, as frustrating as it is, the moment itself, it is as always fun to watch people try to verbally spar with Yang, and for Yang Wen-li to just shut them down at every possible course. We get DNT's version of the infamous line has the judge saying, "What, Yang Wen-li, you sure talk like quite a radical anarchist."
Yeah.
To which Yang replies, "No, actually, I'm a vegetarian," which
Yes.
is quite good. But yeah, it's and yes, the episode ends with Geiersberg completing the jump and appearing literally right in front of Iserlohn while Yang is away, and so we are getting into what is probably one of my favorite arcs in the entire 110 episode OVA, which is the Iserlohn crew having to defend Iserlohn and trick the Empire into thinking that Yang Wen-li is still there to
Yep.
psych them out.
Right. Yeah.
Very good.
We are probably going to see the Rosenritter in action soon, which is also very exciting.
Yes, they've been oddly absent so far in D&T.
Yes.
No, you still have not confirmed what their power, if they have power suits.
No,
right?
we have seen their armor. We have
Because
seen
it's in
their
the
power
opening,
armor.
yeah.
Yes, they wear
Oh, okay.
power armor. It looks like fucking shit. It's great.
Aw.
Good shit,
No, I
yeah.
mean shit.
Oh, you
in
mean a good way.
Like compared to the Empire power armor is literally like a fucking hard suit mech,
Right.
fully contained mech. Whereas
Right.
the FPA power armor, it looks like it's like a shitty fucking exoskeleton with armor plates and a Zaku
like those
eye
things that we
helmet.
currently have that help you
Yeah.
pick up heavy objects.
Yes, it
Right.
literally looks like the kind of exoskeleton prototypes you see literally now in today's technology,
Right.
but slightly slimmer. It's got gigantic power cables on every limb. They literally have a fucking Zaku Heat Hawk axe. It's great. It's great. I'm very much looking forward to these fucking shitbox mechs. Not even mechs, shitbox power armor.
Yeah.
Fucking school on the Empire mechs in a few episodes.
Right. Excellent.
Very good.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
the
Looks
saga
like
continues.
Hero's still good. Turns
Yeah.
out.
Still good. All right, let's move along, and I can talk about Dance Dance Danseur, which made the cut from last episode.
Yes.
This
it's
is
come
the
back.
bully who was interested in ballet. Is that correct?
This is the ballet one, yes. Somewhat related note here. I caught up watching Tiger and Bunny.
Hell yeah.
Since last time we spoke. And I think it gave me some perspective on some of the things that I appreciate about Dance Dance Danseur
Really?
here, because the main kid, Junpei, has a lot of similarities with the main new guy in Tiger and Bunny, Mr. Black, aka whatever his real name is.
Who cares? That guy sucks. Are you telling me the guy in Dance Dance Danseur also sucks, or?
Yes. I kind of hate them both. And, well, it's not even kind of. I hate them both. And I think the difference is, while I hate the main character, like, I like the show because I like what they're doing with his character. So
he sucks on purpose in a way that fits the narrative.
I don't know if you're supposed to hate him quite as much as I hate him, but you are supposed to understand that he's a bratty, selfish little kid, and that he is trying to improve, but you don't just flip a switch and become a different person overnight, right? And when we last talked, where we left off was, he finally, because he was kind of secretly doing ballet and he was embarrassed to admit it to everybody, and then finally he admits it to his friends, who then basically make fun of him and disown him. And we kind of move into the next phase now, where he's got to deal with that, and it's not just a perfect, clean, all right, well, now I'm just going to do ballet and we're on to the next part of the story, which is good, because that's how life is. Like I said, you don't just flip switches and things change, right? But and so he gets into his he actually starts properly training with ballet, and realizes that you don't just get up and dance. It's extremely extremely technical. The direction your toes are pointing, and like the angle of your hand, and like every little detail is like mapped out, right? And he kind of hates it, but he also loves being on stage so much that he kind of grits his teeth and perseveres through it. And it culminates with this. They've been building up to, they wanted him to play the prince in this like very, very, very small time production of Swan Lake with like, it's basically like a school recital, basically.
Okay.
It's like,
hey, we all got to start somewhere.
And he's like, and it's like him and like he's the main guy, and then like the two like main supporting characters are like the girl that got him into the ballet, and then like her cousin, who's like I said was the dancing robot, right? And but they're in her mom's like ballet class, which is all like 8-year-old girls. so they're doing this so like, I mean, they're still only like 14 themselves, but like there's a big difference between 8 and 14 or whatever. So they're like the stars of the show, but all the supporting kids are like 6 to 8 years old or something like that. That's just to give you an idea of like how small time the production is, right? But yeah, so they do the Swan Lake thing, and he's supposed to die, and he's like laying there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm having so much fun. I don't want to die yet." And he just gets up and starts dancing again, and like kind of ruins the production in one ways, because he's being a selfish brat. And we kind of end without fully seeing the aftermath, but they're setting up a lot of the audience who doesn't know ballet kind of loves it, but then like the people that know ballet are like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Of course.
So they're kind of setting up, like in the preview, they have Junpei asking, well, I love to dance, and I love being out there, but that's not ballet. Do I want to do ballet? And they're kind of getting into that kind of angle of it,
Right.
So it's interesting, as annoying as I find the main guy, I feel like they are sufficiently, and it's like it's pretty well written, and like I feel like they're taking the sufficient time to develop his character and not just like put this annoying guy out there and be like, oh, but he's really passionate, so you should like him,
Right.
like I feel some other shows may be doing, but and I feel like there's not only developing his character so you understand why he's that way, but also setting up room for growth as a character, and I find that interesting overall. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. I do still think it's starting to fall into some of like the sports anime trappings a little bit, but
well,
I think it's finding enough of its own, unique voice that I think it's pretty good.
Sure,
So.
that's good to hear.
All right, let's move on to talk about Tiger and Bunny.
Hell yeah.
Tiger and Bunny 2. Like I
Mhm.
said, so again, we should emphasize that I think there's 12 or 13 episodes out, but G and I are
Yes.
going to be watching them like we would at a normal
So we
pace
are
for
we are
any other
currently
show.
up to episode 5 of
Yes.
of what is
So,
available.
I would echo a lot of the things you said last time in catching up here. I do absolutely love the Tiger and Bunny old married couple bits.
It's so
with
good.
Kotetsu and Barnaby.
Yeah.
Not we've already mentioned. I kind of hate Mr. Black.
Yeah,
And-
the new guys. I mean, I don't really care for all of them, but Black is
Right.
definitely the
But
worst.
he's the one that's like the most prominent getting the screen time, right?
Yes, he's the
Because his
he is-
partner, the hilariously named I Am Thomas,
Yeah.
I hate him too, but he's not on screen that much.
Right, and the other one, the idol girl, might as well not exist.
Yeah, she's
Like, I
barely
feel
like
yeah.
she'll pop in for like, so I'm totally indifferent on her because she just basically doesn't exist. But yeah. So
But the old cast, everything to do with the old cast is fucking gold.
yes, and
It's
they're-
as
they're
gold
kinda
as
just-
Ryan.
making the rounds here
Yep.
as we're hitting the rest of the old cast. And
I
who have
truly
also
love
been
this
paired off.
format of just every episode so far is just focusing on a different duo
Yeah.
in this
So-
new buddy system they've established.
The first one we had was Fire Emblem and Sky High, who are like the most popular team
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
right? And go ahead on this one, G.
I truly love the Fire Emblem and Sky High episode because, like, I mean, I really fucking fell in love with Fire Emblem as a character after I kind of talked about it before, his, like, kind of magnificent moment in the movie.
Right.
And Sky High is just so fun because, it is fun to just have a character who is an unironic Superman type, who just legitimately believes in what he's doing, and somehow rather than coming off as like, a Mary Sue or something, his perfectness kind of just increases his Gap Moe appeal, honestly. Like,
Right.
it works so well, and I so love that the episode is basically the bit I did on our Galactic Heroes podcast years ago about how you wouldn't want to date Siegfried Kirkieyes because he'd be too perfect. You'd feel like you constantly couldn't live up to his expectations. And that's
Right.
exactly the conflict of the episode. Is Fire Emblem is like, dude, I can't keep up with Sky High. He's too perfect.
Right.
Like, he invites me out.
They're having that conversation with where they're talking to Kotetsu and Barnaby, trying to explain, and they're like, "Oh, so he did this," and they're like, "No, he's great at that. Like that's he's
Yeah.
that's," and they eventually come to the conclusion of no, he's just too perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievably tiring to live up to the ideal, like the altruistic ideal that Sky High sets, right? And of course, Sky High accidentally overhears the conversation, and so Fire Emblem and Sky High are like in a weirdly tense place, a little bit of an awkward working relationship for the next few days. And naturally it all culminates in shit, we gotta do hero stuff. And, when it matters most, Fire Emblem and Sky High are still, the best duo in the biz. Which is very funny. Also, they established that, even though Tiger and Bunny were the first superhero duo, that Fire Emblem and Sky High have already far eclipsed them in popularity.
Right.
It's really funny. They're, already the promotion and, the advertising is, Fire Emblem and Sky High, the pinnacle of buddy friendship, of the ultimate hero duo. It's very...
They show there's one shot where they show people taking buying posters of the heroes, and the Fire Emblem and Sky High posters are all gone, and there's still plenty of Kotetsu and Barnaby posters left or whatever.
It's very funny. Yeah. But in the end, it all culminates in Fire Emblem Sky High. When the stakes are real, they still work together. They're the best duo in the biz, and we get a very fun moment where Sky High admits the reason he had been avoiding Fire Emblem the last couple of days is not because he was mad at Fire Emblem or anything like that. It's because he had to spend the last 2 days thinking of what flaws he had. And the answer is very few. In fact, as far as Sky High can determine, his only flaw is that he doesn't like the taste of celery.
Oh, and he eats takeout pizza sometimes.
Oh, yeah, yes. Oh my god. And, oh my god, yes. Sky High has 2 dogs. 2 golden retrievers, of course. One is named John. The other is named John.
One might say John 2.
Yes, it's so good.
No, we wouldn't. We would say John.
We would say John.
Yep.
In the same way as that the one guy's name is I Am Thomas.
Yes, it's so good.
Right, understood.
But
also, it's very funny because, I'm sure people have seen that, that meme that gets passed around sometimes of, when Superman has to fly Batman around, how do they, what physical configuration do they hold, right? Does he carry him under the arms? Does he...
Fireman carry...
Yeah, exactly. And the answer for Fire Emblem and Sky High is that Fire Emblem sits on top of, Sky High while he's, flying horizontally Superman style, basically riding him I don't know, a horse or something.
Right.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
But,
the pattern continues in episode 5.
Yes, this time it's time for Antonio Lopez, a.k.a. Rock Bison.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And Origami Cyclone. I don't remember his real name. I just know he's Russian.
Yeah, so
all right, yeah.
The big strong dude and the tiny sneaky
Fast
dude.
Guy.
Yeah. And so they're a duo, and unfortunately, they're also going through some marital woes as well. Because
it's kind of the same pattern, if we're being honest.
It's just
it's literally the same plot.
It's the same plot of just oops, one hero said something kind of rude to the other, and now we got to figure out how to make them friends again. Except this time it's a little bit more fucked up because Rock Bison is making fun of Origami Cyclone's hero name, right? He's why do you call yourself a cyclone? You're more like a soft breeze, Because
all right.
And Origami Cyclone takes this super fucking badly because it turns out that his name is actually connected to his tragic backstory and is core to his personal identity. And it's kind of the back and forth thing of Rock Bison shouldn't have said that, but also Origami Cyclone, this is the first time you have literally ever told any of us
right.
your backstory. How
are we to know?
Fair, how were any of us to know? Open communication is important in a relationship, right? Again, it's the thing that Kotetsu and Barnaby are serving as the old married couple giving advice to these new married couples. Except that Kotetsu gives advice and then Barnaby's hold on a second, you never do that with me.
Right.
Oh my god.
Peak married couple sitcom comedy.
Yeah,
here.
One of Kotetsu's advice is you just gotta take him out for a drink. That's what that's what good partners do. Is that they share meals, they have drinks together. And Barnaby's hold on a second, you have never taken me out for a drink.
He brought him the double waters.
Yeah, they seem to have forgotten that. Speaking of, I am now convinced that was intentional because in this episode, Kotetsu hands Rock Bison a bottle of water, and it is not the PP water brand. It is a different brand of water. PP water is only for partners.
Right.
Yeah, partner water.
Right. You only give
Perfect partner water.
Yeah.
PP water to the people that you're very close and intimate with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Show's great.
Yeah, I didn't think this episode was as strong as the
Not
previous
as
one.
strong, but
And because it was kind of the same exact thing with, you know, some of the details swapped around.
yeah, I think
But-
like it doesn't work as well because like Blue Rose and Gold Ryan's conflict is different from Fire Emblem and Sky High's, so there's a fun contrast between why the two couples are fighting.
Right. Which that
But
also follows the same format, but
Kinda,
yes, it's a different relationship, right?
Yeah, but Rock Bison Origami Cyclone kind of just feels like a rehash of Fire Emblem and Sky High. I'd say the only like real difference is like because of their different personalities, right? Because Rock Bison is like this big, you know, muscle-bound, boisterous guy. Like when they finally like. You know, like, it basically ends with him, like, shirtless and stopping a bank robbery.
Right.
And so, like, by the end, you know, they're doing the fucking, like, you know, Predator, like, hand clasp, you know, sort of thing. And, like, they're doing, like, Toku poses in a fucking, like, abandoned alley next to the bank robbery they just stopped to reaffirm their relationship.
Right.
Which is a pretty good moment.
Yeah. So go ahead. No, go ahead and finish on that one.
I was gonna say the last thing I'll say is we talked about this off air. There's a very funny moment, right, where like Kotetsu and Barnaby are trying to give Rock Bison advice on how to make up with Origami Cyclone, and fucking speaking of guys who suck, Mr. Black walks in, and he's just like, man, you fucking shitty old men. Like, just keep talking in circles. Like, the way you apologize to somebody is you just talk to them directly, and you compliment them. And, you know, there's a great part
make
where...
everything much worse.
Yes, there's a great part, of course, there's one throwaway gag where, when they're called old men, Barnaby looks at Kotetsu. Kotetsu's like, sorry. He's like,
right.
Sorry, you're an old man now.
Right.
But, yes, so Black tries to show... So, you see, watch this. When Origami Cyclone comes in and Black tries to compliment Origami Cyclone's name in like the most blatant, like just patronizing way, but also it's super obvious that Black doesn't know fucking anything about Origami Cyclone, so he's just like, man, Origami Cyclone, what a cool name. Nobody would ever make fun of that name. I mean, Cyclone's like a strong wind, yeah? And Origami is cultured. It's just
right.
Makes the whole situation just like 100 times worse.
And then he's like, glad I could fix everything, and then walks away, right?
Yeah, it's a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Yeah, no, he sucks.
Yeah, so I guess with most of the old cast out of the way now, I guess who do we have left? Like the Kung Fu Kid and
Dragon Kid and the Idol Girl is the last unexplored duo. So
right, so I suspect that we'll probably get them, and then unfortunately, I feel like we're gonna get into
the actual main plot. Yes,
the actual main plot, and I feel like that's where things are gonna suck.
What, you're not excited for Mads Mikkelsen raising two like twinkish superhero like
first of all,
killing villain twins?
First of all, they totally ripped their shtick from Adam and Eve in Nier Automata.
Yes, it is so Adam and Eve.
Right.
It's literally the same. They're literally the same character.
Yeah, like
characters.
White-haired like twins. One's got long hair. One's got short hair.
And
they got mirrored outfits.
I do think one of the rewatching. Watching these episodes and coming back to Tiger and Bunny here, like 12 years later or whatever, I was reminded of the good things I liked that we talked about. It's also reminded that I think generally the writing on the show is kind of bad. Like, it's going for very simplistic. Like, I think it's supposed to be going for like very simplistic, big comic book type of feel, but a lot of times it just comes off as very undercooked. Because I feel like they try to go more complicated places, but they're trying to write it like a very like simple, like almost like a kid's comic book or something, right? And they don't have the nuance to pull off a lot of the things that they try to do sometimes. When they get outside of anything that's not like Kotetsu and Barnaby's relationship. And when it's like the kind of fun sitcom-y workplace comedy bits, it works fine. It's great. When they attempt to do anything even remotely serious,
completely falls flat. Like they just
completely.
Can't.
I'm just not interested at all.
They just don't know how to do it. Like it's.
Yeah, I started flashing back to the second half of the first season.
No, totally. Like the twin villains, like once they actually properly show up to fight the heroes, I suspect that is where Tiger and Bunny's like admittable flaws will probably start to crop up, right? Because for better or worse, the show is at its best when it's a workplace comedy, and anytime it strays from being a workplace comedy is where it's sort of, as you said, it falls apart. So I think I agree with you, Jill. I am dreading it, but I hope they prove me wrong, but I'm just afraid that dark days may be ahead for us. I would probably agree. But
let's enjoy let's enjoy it while it lasts.
Exactly.
Here, so well, that'll be another discussion for another day. Let's
Well, how about an anime where we were all completely proven wrong about our speculation?
Yep, I will eat crow on this one.
Let's talk about Birdie Wing Golf's Girl Story. And to refresh everyone's memory, we were talking about this last episode, how maybe the show was kind of holding back a little bit, kind of dialing things down, not quite as wild as what we got in the first episode.
I'm on record. I said when I saw the randomly generated golf course in the next episode preview, and I'm on tape. I said, that's probably at the golf school that they showed, and Eve is gonna have to go to golf school, and we're gonna do golf school with Aoi. And
instead, if you had told me that this episode's plot intrinsically hinged on a goth girl's hallucinogenic titty sweat, I'm not sure I would have believed you.
That's after we had the transforming golf course that required like re-terraforming a portion of the Earth.
Yes.
We're 18 floors down. We're in the basement.
I mean, that fucking
when they show the shot of like having to release water out of the dam. Like,
I mean that transformation sequence is like fucking straight out of like launching like Mazinger Z, or like fucking, all the component parts of Kyoukai Gar are showing up or some shit, right? It's some real. Like, it really does remind you, oh yeah, this is Sunrise, or, the studio formerly known as Sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, the plot itself is that, in exchange for Eve getting into the tournament, she has to represent the mob that patroned her in a high-stakes, one-round golf game against a rival mob and their chosen champion of choice, the big-titty goth golf GF, Viper.
Viper the Reaper.
Yes, Viper the Reaper, who is this, she's literally a big-titty goth GF. She's got a big-titty golf GF.
Yes.
She's got a long tongue and a 1,000-yard stare and just
an open vest.
And a very open jumpsuit, with a zipper that goes all the way down.
Ridiculous. Like,
it's truly absurd.
They're leaning so hard into like how trashy this show is.
Yes, and so they play their match, and even though Eve is like clearly the superior golfer, she keeps somehow missing these key shots, which causes them to tie on the hole, which leads to repeated rounds of sudden death.
When they have to reshape the golf course every time.
Yes, and they reshape the golf course every time.
Generated golf course,
Yes, until Eve finally figures out that Viper's sweat or pheromones or odor,
or something.
her perfume has
Throwing off her internal balance.
Yes, literally has enough of a hallucinogenic effect to slightly alter your internal sense of balance.
Yes.
And is thrown off her shots. And so finally, Eve turns it around by holding her breath while golfing.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Like,
yes, it's
going from what
wild.
we were expecting, like, oh, now we're just gonna have boring golf tournaments or whatever, to that was pretty great.
Yes.
But to me, the best part of the episode.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead,
Go
Peter.
ahead, Peter. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, when I'm watching that episode, I figured out what happened pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
She
like,
keeps, like,
especially considering Eve just says, "Oh, you're heavily perfumed."
Right, and she keeps
like,
sidling
really
up and unzipping her jumpsuit and then zipping it back up. Right, like, yeah. Yeah.
In some ways, I love that it's that obvious too, though. Like,
see, I prefer to imagine it's not perfume. It's just it's her
That's
titty
just her
sweat. I'm
natural,
sorry, guys. It's her natural odor. She just.
They call me Vipere because I'm just naturally poisonous.
Yeah, would it be out of course for this show? If you just said, she was genetically modified. She's got venom sacs.
I wouldn't bat an eyelash at that. So we got to get to my favorite part of the episode, though.
Yes. Yes. All of that was just a prelude to the actual best part of the episode.
So Eve was made a promise to Aoi that they were gonna have a golf date at like 5 a.m. the next morning, but Eve wins the match and they have to race back to the golf course to have this match, and she doesn't make it in time, and all she finds when she gets to the course is Aoi's signature Pac-Man golf ball with a tear on it, and it says "liar" on the other side.
Tears of Pac-Man.
Oh my god!
But it's not too late. Aoi's still on the plane. The plane's taking off, and so Eve hits a golf ball like fast enough to catch up to the plane. So that
it's so good. It's so good.
Tears of Pac-Man.
It's the most.
You launch a golf ball at.
I, for a second,
per-hour.
legitimately thought she was trying to down the plane.
I did too, actually.
Like she was going to ground the plane
but,
to prevent it from taking off.
I don't know. It's the most romantic thing I've seen this season.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Without question. So good.
And then the next episode,
also
they go into VR.
Yeah. So the next episode, I want to emphasize, when we say that the show is like deranged and chaotic, it's not that. I don't think it's just that they're doing like bizarre things, but
no, it's not random. Like there's an intentionality to how like absurd the events are.
Well, yes, but also it kind of is like there are like how we go from one point to another a lot of times is just like absurd. Like it's like in this episode, like VR comes up because like Eve's big sis character is like, hey, have you ever tried VR? And then they're like,
right. Oh, but no, you see, she was paid off to say that.
Right.
Yeah, but it was just like
it comes out of nowhere. Like,
it comes out of nowhere, and then like when the episode ends, they're like, they're taking away they're shutting down the bar or whatever, and like they're just like, it's that again, that mobile game ad energy that I was talking about early on.
Definitely right. Just like every episode ends on like an increasingly like fucked up cliffhanger.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the first frame of the next episode preview just makes you go, "What is happening?"
Is just a dude shooting an RPG.
Yeah.
Like apropos of nothing.
Yep.
Like
just is in it.
We lost the orphanage. Guy shoots a rocket launch.
You have to golf that rocket out of the air. It's the only way.
Oh man, yeah. Also, shout-outs to Lily.
Yep.
The sort of red-haired kind of tag-along orphan/sister of Eve, who continues the joke of her being a big Gunpla nerd. She is building a 1999 high-grade Turn A Gundam.
Oh yeah.
In the bar.
Shout-outs to the Turn A Gundam.
And we also at the same time get confirmation that Lily is responsible for painting all of Eve's golf balls with the wing like insignia,
right?
Which is just a very funny like contrivance.
the Birdie wing logo, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Aoi's golf company just has a deal with Bamco, and gets those Pac-Man
those
screen
are printed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very good.
Right.
But, the VR bit itself is also quite fun, just because just apropos of nothing. Like, it's just like, well, Eve's got to go downtown to the vaguely Tokyo-looking section of the fictional European nation of Nefrese, where there's an Akihabara-esque Sega arcade in the middle of it.
With a big
VR
room.
booth. Yeah, the fucking X-Men Danger Room-ass, set up here, to play golf. And, it's just ridiculous. It's so fucking good.
It's a lot of fun. Peter, as someone who has not had a chance to talk about the show yet, what have your impressions been up to now?
Largely the same, I must admit. I was a bit late coming into it. I think I think I was a couple of weeks late before I watched episode 1, which I only did because everyone was saying, "Hey, this show is ridiculous and amazing," and I was like, "Okay."
I mean, to be fair, it's an easy one to sleep on. I think most of us had zero idea that this show was going to be what it was before it came out.
Right. I think the extent of my thoughts on the show was, I think I saw the trailer one time and went, "Oh, look, Shara and Amuro's voice actors are both in this show. That's goofy." And then I immediately put it out of mind.
Right. Yeah. And then that first episode hits, and it's like, what is happening? Right.
I am hoping that this show gets dubbed. I don't say that often because I want to show it to my dad. Because my dad goes golfing every weekend.
Oh man!
And is part of a local club and has a handicap, and I don't know how it works, but I want to watch it with him because I see what he thinks.
Yeah, here, Dad. What do you think of this strategy of knocking a branch out of the forest area of a golf course the first time around, so that on your second shot you can just drive straight through the forest?
That's the thing we were talking about in our Discord chat. We were talking about how they actually have a golf consultant on this, and I did notice that whenever they show the numbers of how hard Eve is hitting the ball, it's still within the realm of human possibility, despite what it looks like.
Also, you're smashing a branch off of a tree.
Right. But as far as the numbers go,
Eve's line drive is what? Maybe
yards,
it's in the top 10.
I mean, she would still be near. Right, she'd still be near world record levels of driving.
But I do love that they're like, oh no, she's not better than the best real life golfer. She's just merely, within
she's just merely world class.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So the golf consultant is earning their check on that, I guess. But, yeah.
God,
what a fun show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's get into our all comedy block here, I guess.
Yep. Here we go.
The comedy block.
We got all of the big comedies, or what I'm going to call. Well, you know what? As we get into Aharen-san here, I think it is starting to get some traction.
Okay. I've seen a number of screenshots with people holding guns.
Yes. No, but I'm starting to see it around more. I think word of mouth is getting around that this is a pretty solid show.
Okay.
I think there's some good examples of how how the comedy is putting very subtle different spins on obvious jokes. So for example, in the first episode in this block, Aharen gets into Pokemon Go, or it's fake Pokemon Go, of course.
Right.
I think it's Pokemon KO or something like that. Right?
All right. Okay, KO.
And rather than just being oh, she got into Pokemon Go, It's what if you got into Pokemon Go in 2022 when it's years past its prime?
Oh God.
Every gym is ruled by like some psycho who's been playing since launch, and
they don't go too far into that, but like the main guy's like, oh well, I haven't played this game in years, but I did play a lot, so I'll bet my like super powerful whatever that I had back then would wipe the floor with her, and then he proceeds to get his ass beat. But
power creep.
Yeah. So, they find new ways to spin those things. Although I think the best part of that joke is when he summons his Pokemon. It starts playing like almost note for note the actual Pokemon theme.
All right.
But like they like change just enough to make it like legally viable, where you could deny it in court.
Legally distinct from the Pokemon theme.
Right. But it's like very obviously the Pokemon theme. I always love when that happens. And then like in the latest episode, they basically try to pull off what looks like a twin joke, where he sees somebody that looks exactly like Aharen at the arcade, but it's clearly not her, and he's like kind of just tagging along with them or whatever, and you're like, oh, well, it's gonna be like it's her twin sister or something like that, and they're like, no, this is actually my little brother who's actually in elementary school.
Oh, instead of just is very tiny.
Yeah, because they're playing off the joke that she looks like an elementary schooler.
Sure.
And this is my little brother, and they actually even, and I'll be clear, they don't make the fact that he's dressing up as a girl a joke, because like they actually even have like this really kind of sweet moment after the credits where he's like trying on all her clothes, and she's like, why do you like trying on my clothes? And they're like, because they're really cute, should I stop? And she's like, nope, and just gives him a hug, and it's a very sweet moment. So that's not the joke, but they're kind of playing off of the joke all along has been, Aharen looks like an elementary schooler, and rather than like just bringing, it's her twin sister who has a different personality, it's like they put a spin on it. So
sure.
Anyway, that show continues to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the rap in Aharen-san was last episode, so it did not quite line up with this block of episodes, which, well, we might as well get into because there's a lot of rap to talk about.
I'm sorry, I need to. I looked up the I looked up the Pokemon clip at Aharen wins with the noted fear strategy.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. Of course.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
It's pretty good. It's real good. They know what they're doing. But yeah, so let's talk about
Aharen-san. I've only seen episode 1 and it bounced right off me. I don't know if I should pick it back up again.
Yeah, it is like very, very dry. Like, and I've talked about how the main characters are both like very quiet, which is an interesting way to go about it. So like a lot of the humor is like very like deadpan kind of dry humor. And there is like I'm usually kind of picking out some of the highlight jokes. There is like a lot of like kind of just them kind of bumming around, not doing much. So I can understand how maybe not everybody would take to it right away, but I think I just really like the sense of humor that they have with it, but I can totally get how that would just kind of not be for everybody. But yeah, I'd recommend giving it another episode though if it sounds at all interesting.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
To be fair, there's a lot of great comedies this season,
Yeah.
So like,
the bar is very high
so
this season as well.
I think,
Yeah.
There's probably something there for some. There's something in here for everybody, right? One way or another.
And speaking of bars,
speaking of bars,
let's get into
speaking of 96 bars.
Oh, man.
My goodness,
your boy Kongming.
It's your boy.
We finally get into
bars.
when we left off. Kongming was looking for this underground rapper kid who he finally finds, and we
Yes.
kind of enter his mini arc.
Yes, Kabataijin.
Yes, and he's
Three-time king of the rap battle game
Uh-huh.
in at least this one specific neighborhood of Tokyo, I guess.
We did get my wish that I said in the preview episode. Is Kongming going to rap? And he does.
You sure did.
I will say the reason why I say 96 bars is because I don't think Kongming's rapping was very good. I mean, I'll be frank, his rapping serves the purpose of being the opponent for Kabataijin to overcome.
Yes.
But, like, the idea of, like, that rap battle being even remotely close
It was
is,
not
like,
even close.
utterly
no.
laughable when,
Yeah.
like, Kabataijin is... I'm not even out here saying Kabataijin is, like, amazing. Like, he's certainly he's not, like, Yano tier or anything. Like, if we're talking about, like, rappers in anime, but
But he's actually
he's good.
rapping
He's solid.
as opposed
He's good.
to...
He's actually like, his bars are solid. And he's actually, like, you know, working well with what he's got. Unfortunately, what he's got is not much because the beat they laid over this rap battle was adequate,
Underwhelming.
I suppose.
Perfunctory.
Yes. Clearly,
Yes.
hip hop and rap are not this show's composer's strong suit. But, like, the bars themselves, quite solid. Like, and
Yeah.
the fact that they committed to a rap battle of this absurd length and dedicated, like, most of the episode to
Right, it was a solid, like, 10 minutes.
is, like, very impressive.
Yeah. No, I agree. Kongming's actual rapping was garbage. You can't... There's a difference between rapping and talking fast.
In fact, I would say that I would show the rap battle between Kongming and Kabataijin as a great example to people who are not familiar with rapping to show them, okay, look, that guy is just, like, talking quickly. That dude's actually rapping.
Right. He actually has a flow with the beat.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, thematically it works, right? Like,
Yes, totally.
Yes.
Yeah, I
and
still come away from the episode largely pleased with it.
I will say, even if the rapping from Kongming wasn't good, I appreciated that he came in talking spicy. Like,
Oh, true, yeah.
he did, because I thought, because he's supposed to be, historically a very diplomatic, smooth talking type of character, and he's
Yeah.
like, oh, is your stomach hurt? Boo hoo, you gonna quit? Like,
Yeah.
I appreciated that he still came in with that energy
he
for
can
a
goad,
battle
he can
rap.
talk shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And Kabe had some pretty good I mean, we're talking battle rap on, like, a PA Works anime standard
Right.
here, but
Yes,
he had some,
like, there's a specific, like, standard we're working with here.
he had some
I-
solid bars where he was like,
Yeah.
oh, you think you're Kongming, well, I'm Buddha, basically.
That was
right?
my favorite
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
I
it's
think.
really
Yeah.
good.
That was really
Uh,
that was really good.
Yeah.
I do like that the start of one of the episodes here is, like, basically, it's like, one could argue that Cao Cao was the originator of rapping.
Yeah,
That was
right.
like,
Ah.
the short
All
song
right.
style.
Yeah, short
was-
song style.
That was like, Iro, you'll appreciate in Classicaloid when they were implying that Franz Schubert might have originated.
For sure. I mean, that was just, it's a song, and then people put words over the song
Right, 'cause they were-
that
right.
were not quite
Well,
lyrics. It was the
They were
poem to
setting
the
up.
song.
They were setting up the twist in that episode.
Also,
but
I
they
mean,
also
that
had
is
a
still
similar-
like the enduring moment of Classicaloid to me. So
Yes, but yeah, no, I think this was good. I guess my only thing with this show in general is because the bar is so high this season.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it is kind of like below. It's not on the same tier as the top tier shows, which we're gonna get to. But
right.
There are some real heavyweight, gorillas in this.
and
this
I
bracket.
do feel like maybe it spins its wheels a little more than I would like.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think the Kabataijin arc, like, it makes sense that it's 2 episodes, but also it doesn't feel like it's worthy of taking 2 episodes.
Well,
if
that's the
that
thing.
makes
It's
sense.
kind of almost 3 episodes because we were
Oh, God,
working
yeah,
on this
yeah. 'Cause, yes, you're right.
beforehand.
That's right.
Like,
yeah, it's that thing of like I don't know, like either they should have added more or taken some out and like just like
Done 2
compacted it a
episodes,
little
yeah.
bit because it's
like if it was legitimately only 2 episodes, I think that would have worked maybe a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I'm still enjoying it a lot, though.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, definitely. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Kongming continues to be a very fun character in this show. It's very it's just enjoyable to see this character recontextualized in such a different way.
Yeah. Peter, I have to ask, how many songs from the show have you put on your radio show so far?
Exactly 0.
Alas.
Because it's complicated.
Okay.
The opening theme,
Yes.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, they've only released the TV-sized version of it for sale, and I don't usually play the short versions. Although, funny enough, last night we played the Trigun opening, which was only ever, and it's
right.
1 minute
There's
30
only
version.
yeah.
But the ending theme is out in a few weeks, and all of the insert songs, I'm assuming, will be released on either a standalone album, which may also include the opening theme, or they're going to bundle with the CDs with the Blu-rays and
Right.
make me
I can see
angry,
that.
because that does happen sometimes, and it frustrates me no end, because it means that I have to get a hold of Blu-rays in theory.
Right. And you also want to play them while they're hot, right? Like, this is the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been considering getting just the short version, saying, look, we're going to play the short version until a full one comes out. But they have got a soundtrack coming out soon as well. And they've not announced the track listing for that, so I'm hoping that the opening is on the soundtrack, but we'll see.
I would hope
that's
so.
interesting because I feel like I thought, well, I guess it's not consistent. I feel like the trend I've actually been seeing the last couple of years is like the full version of anime OPs getting released like quicker. Like I definitely remember, like 5-10 years ago, you did not get the full version of an OP until the show is over, right? Whereas like now it's like you might see the full version OP release like a month after it starts airing. I feel like we're getting a pretty quick turnaround on some of that stuff. So it is.
Similarly, I feel like this maybe last season and this season, as companies have finally started going, oh, we should just put up our own videos of the openings.
Uploads, yeah.
Yeah.
It turns out it's really good marketing.
Yeah.
It turns out it's actually really dumb to keep trying to take down people uploading your OP, because your OP might actually be your strongest like advertising tool. Weird.
Keep taking down the 60-frame interpolated ones, though.
Oh yeah, those ones suck.
Go ahead and take those down. You're doing everyone a favor there.
I mean, I feel like this is an OP that would sell the show. If I was already sold on it.
I think it has, right? I mean, hasn't the OP like
That's huge,
gone pretty viral in a lot of spaces? Yeah.
So it's this weird Chinese dude doing a wacky dance.
Yeah.
One thing about the ending, by the way, I don't know if you noticed that Kabutajin has a section of the ending now.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's neat that they're bringing him in. I wonder if we're gonna get an evolving song as more members get added to Kongming's cabinet of musicians.
So,
I can confirm that if you want.
Yeah.
Well, the OP seems. Well, there's one more character in the OP we haven't met yet formally, so we can certainly make our assumptions.
So
the track listing for the CD for the ending theme has been released. And,
okay.
Track one is Eiko and Kome. Track 2 is Eiko, Kome, and Kabutajin. And track 3 is the 3 and someone else. And then track 4 is the instrumental.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I did get a kick. I looked up Kabutajin's voice actor, and he voiced one Shin Noze in '86.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Did they bring in somebody else to do the rap for him like they did for
No,
Eiko,
not for him.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Damn, Shin spitting bars out here.
All right.
What's he doing fighting in a spider mech for his life?
I guess speaking of voice actors and actresses spitting bars.
Well, yes.
All right.
Let's talk about Kaguya-sama,
Kaguya-sama.
Love is War,
I will
ultra
say,
romantic.
I've not been watching Kaguya, but I did end up seeing the rap parts, and maybe I should watch Kaguya-sama.
Yeah, maybe Kaguya-sama.
It's not like
anime...
right. It just it's not like I didn't like what I saw. It's just like didn't end up on it.
Oh, no,
It's not
totally.
usually your kind of show, Iroh, but yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, Kaguya is like the goat, at
Yeah,
this point,
like
right?
season
So,
1 is still out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Right.
I think it's a very fun. Yeah, like I mean, it's. I think there's a reason why we say like maybe it doesn't have the absolute highest highs of all the comedies we've ever watched on the GLORIO blog, but it is definitely like the most consistent. Like
yeah, it's consistent and well-rounded, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, in this
speaking
this block, we've kind of come back to the standard cast mix-ups where you know in one episode we had Kaguya and Ishigami paired off, and you know I want to give that episode its credit before we get
I
to.
do. I actually rather like it. I appreciate the joke of like Ishigami's like, "Don't worry, Kaguya. I'm gonna confess to what Tsubame Senpai, and it's gonna blow her socks off. I got this great idea. It's called like the flower a day plan or some shit."
Right.
And Kaguya's just like, that's like the most fucking deranged, fucked up thing I've ever heard. You fucking creep. Like, you think any girl would find this romantic? Like,
Yeah.
like I'm just gonna leave an anonymous flower on her desk every day without a note. Like.
I'm just gonna note that I had a friend tell me to do that one time.
Oh my god! Seriously?
When we were about that age. Just gonna throw that. I did not do it. I was like, hell no.
I do like it's funny because I think that this episode and even the next episode are getting into this interesting dynamic of like, ironically, Kaguya and Shirogane are like actually fairly good at giving advice to people that are not each other, right? Like when.
Right.
When it doesn't directly involve them.
They can't think clearly in
stakes.
their own situation.
But
right?
they're actually fairly rational and, like, compassionate when dealing with literally anybody else.
And this has been an ongoing thing when they kind of split off and, you know, Kaguya kind of helping the Ishigami redemption plan and, you know, trying to help him get his, you know, self-esteem back and all that.
Right.
And
I really did appreciate that, right? It kind of... You know, this episode might be like the anime version of that one episode of The Simpsons where Bart tries to study for his tests, right? Like, where Ishigami's like, you know what? I'm going to actually put in the real work. I'm going to do it, right? And, like, the very, like, bittersweet tragedy, like, sorry, dude, if you, like, didn't study your whole life, studying now is, like...
Right.
You're going to see, like, an improvement, but it will probably be a pretty marginal improvement.
Right. It takes time.
It takes time, right? And I do like that, right? Like Kaguya has clearly not given up on Ishigami, right? Even after, you know, he still failed his, like, midterm exams. She's still like, but you did improve, and that's what matters. And what's important is that you keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
I like that she says,
yeah.
I like that she says, you know, don't just do it because you want to get a girl. Do it for yourself, right? Like,
yes, that too, right? Like, trying to motivate yourself for an ideal, perhaps a potentially unattainable ideal, can very quickly backfire on you. Let me just say, and I do like they still fit a pretty good joke there of like they're doing the repeating bit of like everybody has something to say about midterm exams, and then the narrator immediately interjects with, "He's lying. What he actually wants is so right?" And so like you know Shirogane is like. Or what is that? It's like, yeah, we won't be holding student council meetings while while midterm exams are happening. So everybody else can feel free to go home and study. And then the narrator's like, he's lying. Shirogane just wants to study in the room by himself because he finds studying at home to be a huge pain in the ass.
Right.
Or
everybody has an ulterior motive.
Fujiwara's is probably the best. Where she's like, "Oh no, I had to study for my midterm exams, or else Daddy will cut off my allowance." And then the narrator cuts in, "She's lying. Fujiwara's grandpa gives her a secret allowance as long as she doesn't tell her parents."
Right. Yeah.
It's really good.
No, yeah. So episode 4 was very good and on par with what we've been getting from Kaguya-sama. Whereas, I don't want to be too prisoner of the moment here, but episode 5 was like a comedy masterpiece.
Oh yeah, totally. Before we do that, though, we do have to say one thing to give some context to episode 5, which is we are introduced to the 4th persona of Ai Hayasaka.
Yes.
Herthaka, the butler.
Right. Which sets us up for
episode 5,
it's one of the many things that lead up to episode 5, because we also had the the bit with Ai and Shirogane and what kind of and his apparently interesting rap music, which was introduced earlier in an earlier episode, and it all kind of comes to a head in episode 5, where we get our other combo, which is Fujiwara trying to help Shirogane learn to do something that he's very bad at.
Once again, yes, try to coach Shirogane into passable competence in a given task.
Right, which runs circles in itself on this episode, but
yes. There's some real snake eating its tail with this one, right? Of
because Fujiwara doesn't know anything about rap.
Doesn't know how to rap, so she has to learn how to rap so she can teach Shirogane.
She has to get better at Shirogane than rap so she can teach him.
It's very good. There's this part where she's like admits, "Oh, I thought rapping was you just had to say yo at the end."
Right. Which again is another callback to season 1, right? That was like where she did that, but yeah, this all culminates in basically the episode going full musical, right?
Yeah, it's wild.
So I mean, you've got Shirogane dropping some bars, surprisingly.
They're okay.
Yeah, I'll say he starts. I watched it again. He starts strong, and then it kind of tails off a bit, I think. But
yes.
I'm also a little partial because they go very 90s with the
very 90s overlaying beat.
The beat and the aesthetic of the whole scene. And I do love Fujiwara as the like Flava Flav hype woman.
Yes, it's very good.
It's very good. And that somehow turns into Kaguya and Ai doing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, it's
at which
wild.
point I don't even know what's going on at that point. But
man,
it's very good.
It's very yes.
It's the thing that talking about it on a podcast is not going to do it justice.
No, our verbal description will never do it justice. But you because that like
not just the music, but like the visual presentation as well.
It is this anime's like constant like A-tier production and directing dedicated to like a visual musical sequence, right? Like it's not really easy to describe it, but it's just the immensely good like snappy directing that we've come to associate with Kaguya applied to its best aspects. Yes. And somehow that's not even the end of the episode. We still get like one last like good entirely unrelated bit, which is
so we have
quite funny despite being completely unrelated.
We have the return of Kaguya's niece.
Yes, technically because of extended family shenanigans or something.
Who is like still her age or like only a year younger than her or something.
Something like that.
And she continues to bond with Shirogane and Ishigami.
Yeah.
I feel like this is kind of like the dark mirror to Kaguya and Fujiwara with the other girl and the other couple.
Oh yes. I actually really like this story because I've come to really like this dynamic between Shirogane, Ishigami, and I don't know Tsundere Senpai as she is called.
Right.
Just like because like even though they come from completely different backgrounds, they all find a weird kinship in like the same fundamental problem that all three of them share of being incapable of just outright confessing to the object of their affections. And we once again get the running bit of like Shirogane and Ishigami giving like really solid advice
Even
when
though
it's
they have
not
no
related
basis.
to them.
Right. They have no basis for actually being able to give that advice.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah.
Shout outs to the absolute. Speaking of great directing, shout outs to the immaculate bit where Shirogane and Ishigami are like, well, you know that those two have probably like already done it, right? They've probably had their first time already. And the girl's like, what? Like kissing? Oh please, like I know about kissing.
Yes.
And Ishigami is like, all right, takes out a fucking wand and waves it like a wizard to teleport from his couch to the other couch the girl's sitting in to whisper that they're fucking, that they're banging. And the way she pronounced sex is extremely funny.
Yeah, the subs have it as like SEK.
Yes. And Ishigami mocks it in its pronunciation.
Yeah.
But,
I can never emphasize enough the visual impact, like how much that also adds to this show,
Totally.
which does not come across when we're describing it. Shout out to the director whose name I can't remember right now, but their only other notable credit being the dramatic masterpiece, the Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, which I can never say the whole title, which we always refer to as the Rakugo anime, but my personal favorite anime of the GLORIO era, but a very good director, very different kind of show, but like fantastic directing. And then we get the new ED.
The new ED. Wow.
We didn't even get to that.
Before we get to the ending, can I just ask something? Do you know what the magic wand bit in that Ishigami did? What that was a reference to?
The wand specifically? No,
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, the bit where he uses a wand to get to the other side, to the other couch.
Oh, where he teleports. I heard something about this. I don't remember what the details were.
So I was talking about it on the radio show last night, but basically in the manga it isn't clear how he just appears on the other side. So in the anime they decided to just animate it because it became a running joke in the manga fandom apparently, and so they just in magic over.
Right, I think we sort of offhanded mentioned that off air before, but yes, because I saw the original manga that this scene was based on, and yes, it's like the nature of like manga and how paneling works, right? It's like it's not that I'm blaming the artist for it, right? Like paneling is difficult, drawing sets are difficult, but yes, just the way he like spontaneously teleports from one panel to the next, I enjoy, and I think that's sort of a good adaptation, right? Where the anime had a little bit of fun with that, right? Like they gave it their own sort of unique twist.
Right, they kind of acknowledge the internet.
That it's a little silly, but also, hey, whatever, right? It's a comedy anime.
Yeah. And it works like even out of context. It's still just a hilarious visual, right? Like yeah, really good.
The ending.
Then we get the ending.
That ending, new ending. I guess we got like 2 or 3 episodes with the Starship Troopers ending, so I thought, oh, this is our permanent ending for this season, and then we got
I don't even know where to start with that one. It's kind of like more realistic-ish art style, I guess.
Yeah, they're kind of drawn more mature looking.
Yeah, and they're performing, I guess more of a pop type of song.
Kind of a pop song more, but, dance number.
Yeah. It's like almost like a K-pop sort of.
Yeah,
like K-pop, maybe slightly EDM adjacent sort of vibe,
in that
like,
neighborhood,
or EDM concert vibe.
You get Ishigami and Ino breakdancing. And it's like very well animated.
Yeah, like basically like Ishigami and Shirogane are having like a dance battle with Fujiwara and Ino. It's it's a real vibe. I mean, I'm just like, man, I can't believe they made this. Really, that's all I can really say.
The resources that were poured into this episode.
Yeah, like this is the Fujiwara dance of season 1, right?
Yeah,
the Fujiwara dance ED.
Yeah, I don't know if it quite has that absurd amount of frames per second.
No, but it might make up for it in just
But there's a lot of other things going on, right?
Like it's a really stylish ED.
Yeah,
I think I heard it was like basically, or if not, maybe not single-handedly animated, but I think it was like storyboarded by like a single like indie animator or something like that.
Oh, they brought somebody.
Yeah,
somebody
like
in.
They brought in some
that makes sense because I mean it is a drastically different style.
Definitely.
Than the series normally is.
But, I dug it. It's cool. It's fun. Like I really like that Kaguya-sama is getting into this like habit and tradition of using the ED as like a fun way to explore different genres.
Right. That's always fun. And they have the resources to make multiple EDs,
yes.
Right? So yeah, they're still killing it, the show.
Yeah, they really are.
All right. Well,
time for the last gorilla in this room.
Let's talk about Spy Family.
Yeah.
I think I know what you were saying last time about how the first 2 episodes kind of feels like a pilot, and like I don't think it properly prepares you for how absurd Spy Family is willing to get.
One could say the real Spy Family starts here.
Because we start with the absolutely ridiculous admissions process.
Yes.
To the
some
school.
real fucking tune-in exams, just ridiculous secret test of character bullshit.
Yeah, which is, wild, and it's hilarious because as crazy as they do the joke of like as crazy as whatever situation comes up, like Lloyd is actually prepared for that circumstance.
It does the very good. It has a very good understanding of comedy. Of a joke is funny once, and it's potentially even funnier a second time. When they do the thing of Lloyd has a third set of
right. Well, yeah, right. Well, it's almost like a joke. A joke is funny once, maybe not twice, but definitely the third or fourth time. Like when you just keep beating it to death, right?
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's very good. And it kind of, they always kind of bring the episode around into like some kind of very sweet moment at the end, right?
Yeah.
Where,
like there's a great bit, at the end where like, where Lloyd, we have to remember the man is a spy. He's a spook, right? But yet, despite that, like, when this fucking sack of shit is, like, talking down to his, like, fake family...
Still goes dad
he's
mode.
Fucking ready. Yeah. He's ready to throw down. Like, straight up.
Really killed that mosquito, right?
Yeah. And, of course, we're introduced to, Master Swain. Not Swain. What's the name of the headmaster?
I can't remember. I'm sorry. Anderson.
Well, Elegance guy.
The old guy with the cartoon mustache.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yes. But yes.
Mr. Elegance. I don't know.
Yes.
The elegant guy.
Yes. Just the dude fucking losing his shit at how elegant the Forger family is.
Very good.
Has them fooled. But
yes.
Yes, that's very good. And then is it episode 5 that we're on?
Yes.
What a great episode.
This is wild because
most of that was not in the manga.
Yes, this is some real like adaptation, pumping up the source material stuff here.
Okay,
yeah, great stuff.
They basically take what's like a one-off chapter in the manga that is fun, but I would say is not particularly memorable by the very high bar that Spy Family sets for itself. And they turn it into arguably the best episode of the show so far.
And turns this huge set piece.
Yeah, it's really impressive. It's that reminder. Yeah, these people. Remember, these are, at least to a partial extent, these are the ranking of kings people, and they will occasionally just flex their animation chops on you in a way that leaves you dumbfounded.
Yeah, because the first couple episodes had little splashes, but I guess there really wasn't reason to really cut loose with the animation too much. And this one's just like a spectacle, right? Like it's
totally.
The concept being Lloyd tapping into his unlimited resources to give Anya a gift for
He basically spends like his entire spy agency's budget to throw a very elaborate LARP session for his daughter.
Where they go to a castle and he has to rescue Anya.
And I do love the running bit of just all these fucking spies are showing up, like they're fucking airdropping out of like helicopters, coming in on speed boats and shit, like flying in.
This critical mission.
They're all just like, oh man, I can't believe I get to serve on the same operation as the legendary spy Twilight. And it's about that part where I realize, oh my god, this is like a fucking like Metal Gear Solid bit. Like, this could have been
beat up a guard on Mother Base, and he's like,
and they salute you.
It's an honor to be held in your iron grip, boss.
Right, like this could have been, like this entire bit, like if in the version of Metal Gear Solid 5 in which Kojima wasn't such a self-serious jackass and where Konami wasn't, fucking Konami, the plot of episode 5 of Spy Family could have easily have been like a fucking throwaway mission in Metal Gear Solid 5, like throw a fake birthday party on Mother Base,
right?
Infiltrate your own Mother Base.
Yeah, exactly. But it's very fun. I think we're also getting to see some of the side cast really shine, right? Like Frankie, who's shown up a couple times as Lloyd's informant.
Uncle Scruffy.
I think has a lot of fun in this episode, just leaning into being the most like dirtbag ass friend that he is.
Right.
Oh yeah.
We get the running bit of Yor is the meanest drunk on the planet.
She's just cradling that wine bottle like a child.
Yeah. Like, I
all
love that
night.
they charter a private plane and fly to a castle, and she's still drinking out of the same bottle.
She's like, wow.
They burned a lot of frames on her nearly killing Lloyd at the end.
Yes. We get a little bit of Yor the fucking super assassin. Fucking just straight up boxing Lloyd.
Straight up awesome. Yeah.
Throwing jabs and hooks. So good. Like, really fun episode again. You even get your gratuitous no-name insert song. And to be clear, No Name is the name of the composer for this anime.
Yes.
To
clarify.
Their love of just putting in completely inappropriate insert songs in the middle of episodes.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, and again, like, I was not expecting that level of absurdity from this show.
Yeah,
right. The entrance exam one, like, was kind of pushing the border, particularly when like the Gene Simmons cow shows up. But with episode 5, it was like, okay, this is like a whole nother level, and
this is the episode that's meant to make you understand that Spy Family is like largely a gag comedy.
Yes.
Right. Like.
Right.
If you went into this show thinking, oh, is it going to be like half serious spy shit and half like slice of life comedy, it's like, no, it's maybe closer to like 20% spy stuff, 80% slice of life comedy.
Yeah,
right.
If that makes sense. Like the spy stuff is always there; it never goes away.
It's always there to instigate a piece of comedy. Like,
yes, basically.
Right.
And it's wild because I love this episode, but I'm telling you, based on what we saw in the preview. The best is yet to come.
Excellent.
Just think about they knew what they were doing when they ended the next episode preview on that specific Anya face.
Yeah.
We are
the Anya face. The Anya face.
The Anya face, perhaps. Yes.
Right.
So,
Peter,
as
you were.
Oh, go on.
I was gonna say, Peter, you were watching this as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I am curious as to where it's heading. I must say thank you to whoever designed yours cardigan with an open back.
My God, look, we talked about it in the last podcast. Look, if we want to use every podcast to talk about how hot your is, I mean, we could do it.
Yeah.
It's Mother's Day.
The reason I say that is because my Twitter timeline has become significantly more wholesome because everyone's just Instead of boob window, we've just got back window, and it's just immediately more wholesome.
Yes.
But an interesting thing about on the topic of Yor, actually, I've heard that she's not as big of a character later on.
So I to address that, I think, I mean, as someone who's also read the manga, maybe you could back me up on this and say that to a certain extent, it is true that Yor probably gets the least screen time of the three titular members of the spy family.
I would
for better
agree.
or worse. To a certain extent, it's because Yor's her intrinsic skill set means that, like, she kind of has to be used somewhat sparingly, because it's a little bit of the problem of, like, well, why isn't Yor here? She can kick a car in half. Like, why doesn't she just solve this problem?
Right.
It's like, well, she had the flu. She was away.
Something, yeah.
But I will say that Yor does get an arc focused entirely around her and her double life as an assassin.
That just recently
later
wrapped
in the
up.
manga.
Like,
that recently wrapped up. I think is a personal favorite of many people who've read the manga.
right. Because
she gets a.
it was kind of a like, oh, finally, some Yor content.
It's a little bit of that trope. It's almost like it's a rare female example of the trope of the comic relief character gets serious and everybody loses their shit because they're like, oh god, she's playing for fucking real now, and it's quite entertaining.
Do you think the anime will actually get to that point? Because
unlikely. Not in this current season. No.
Yeah.
So I think it is a valid criticism of the manga. I do think, however, that where they do decide to shift their focus, and that focus, I would say, is largely going to be on Anya going forward.
Right.
Mostly, yeah.
Is, I don't want to like make it an either-or situation or say they're mutually exclusive or anything like that, but I will say that, like, the shift of focus to Anya, I personally think is a very good choice on the part of Spy Family.
Right.
Like, every Anya-focused story is, like, consistently a banger, so...
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, maybe we'll end up getting more anime because this thing seems to be quite popular.
I think we probably will at this rate. Like,
it's meant to be 2 cores split, so...
Okay.
I'm not sure where that would end up, honestly, but...
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. We might touch... Yeah, I mean, we might arrive at the front door of your arc then.
Maybe.
In the second half, probably, if that's how it's going. The thing to also keep in mind is that, like, the manga is bi-weekly.
Right.
So...
Fortnightly. Yeah.
Yes, my bad. Yes, fortnightly, other way around.
I mean, bi-weekly is a more ambiguous word.
Yes.
You're correct.
And so there's not actually that much material. So
right.
I could also see it being a thing of, like, this first season, this first, like, batch of 26 episodes finishes up. They maybe take a year to, let more content, gestate, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then they announce a second season down the line.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will say, like, I'm comfortable, if we want to declare Spy Family the best show of the season. I do think it is the sort of safest, broadest appeal. I would recommend anybody watch it.
I think that's a fair assessment.
I don't know, and don't get me wrong, I love it. I don't know if my heart burns with passion to watch the episode with the second it comes out, like it does for some of the other shows on this list.
It can be a thing of, like, your brain recognizes that Spy Family is probably the best show of this season, but your heart recognizes that it's Birdie Wing.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Birdie Wing comes out at like 11 p.m. my time. And which is very weird.
Watching that shit immediately.
And I'm watching that immediately. Yeah. Secretly the Dark Horse best show of the season.
Exactly.
But, yeah. No. But no, it's all good. I think we have a very solid list of shows here that are very fun, and I'm enjoying it. So All right. That's going to do it then for this episode. Time flew by. I didn't even realize we are a bit over here.
It's a packed
Yeah.
season.
What a
It's
season, what a
it's a
season.
really, yeah.
Yeah, lot going on. So let's do our housekeeping. You can check us out at theglorioblog.com. You can follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell and whatnot. Peter, where can people listen to your radio show?
If you head on over to nekodesu.radio, you can find out all the information there. It's on Saturday nights, UK time, so 9 p.m. UK time. It's 2 hours of me rambling about stuff and playing some anime music.
Yeah. So everybody go check that out. You can tell your friends, tell your enemies. We'll catch everybody next time.